Wednesday, and that means the Panel B podcast is back in action here. Steve Buchanan and Julian Edlow for another edition of the award-winning Panel B podcast. What
Correct.
award did it win? We're not sure yet, but we sure it won something.
Listen to by billions across the world. How could it not be award-winning?
That's right. Quiet week in sports so far. Obviously, the NBA on their All-Star break. That's going to be wrapping up. They'll be back to games tomorrow, but we can talk about that. The XFL still going strong. Ratings are strong. Attendance is strong. We'll get into a little bit of that as well. And we'll continue looking at some MLB win totals for the upcoming 2020 season, hitting on any news that's happened since last week. But let's get to the most recent thing with the NBA. The All-Star game wrapped up. The skills contest wrapped up. Aaron Gordon potentially robbed of the slam dunk contest. That's something we can hit on too as well. But any quick takeaways you had there from the All-Star weekend?
So to go, just quickly run through Saturday night. We were all wrong on the skills competition. Bam Adebayo gets that.
Correction.
What did you say?
You and Chirag were wrong.
Okay,
Don't lump me into that because I was on
you
Twitter.
Sat here and didn't say anything.
Thank you.
It just shows that the skills competition is it's so random. Just take some steep odds for small money every time if you want to even have any action on it.
Yep.
Otherwise, just enjoy it. 3-point shootout.
Very entertaining.
Was good.
It was very good.
I was on Bertans. A lot of people were on Booker. A lot of people were on Hield. Chirag said he loved Hield and then bet Booker and Hield won. So, like I said last week, we put his brain into a pretzel and he just pretzeled himself on that and lost. I had Bertans, but at least we all had finalists. I think you had Booker too, right?
I did have Booker.
So we all had finalists. None of us had Hield, and Hield wins. So classic. I did wind up taking Derek Jones Jr. in the dunk contest, so I won money on that. However, I was very split between him and Aaron Gordon, and it wound up being obviously that could have gone either way. Aaron Gordon easily could have won that. It brought into my mind how difficult or just how careful you have to be when betting the dunk contest, because remember, this is not who goes through a timed course quicker.
Right.
It's not who clearly makes the most three-point baskets. It's who Dwayne Wade and Candace Parker and who else was up there.
Common
thinks throws down the best dunk.
Right.
And they might have been trying to make it a tie with Aaron Gordon, but Dwayne Wade went rogue and made the Heat player win. Like, keep that stuff in mind.
Right.
But yeah, decent All-Star Saturday night. We've seen much better. The game was awesome.
Yep.
That first half, you just sleepwalk right through. I wish they would try a little bit harder in the first half. Like, it's just like layups and dunks, like, with absolutely no defense. Like, it's just a little too easy. I don't even want to see that.
Well, what was the over-under close at? Was it 308.5?
So it reached as high as 307.5, closed at 305.5. I played it at under 307.5. It finished 312. So lost that. But I got under 312.5 in game. So by Anthony Davis winning that on a free throw rather than a field goal, I won that live one. And then during the first quarter, so there were 94 points in the first quarter, and that's what completely ruined betting the under.
Yep.
But you saw how the rest of the game went, how it clearly was at the pace that would have favored the under the rest of the way. It's just 94 first quarter points. What are you going to do? That's ridiculous. So what I did think was cool was that so the 312 number was like my sweat in the end, but I also played some unders, some live unders in the 320s during that first quarter. So by the time the third quarter was over, I already knew I had won those because of the new target score format, which I thought was pretty cool, and I didn't have to take any years off my life sweating at All-Star Game unders. And
they had to reach 24 in the fourth quarter. That was the team leading. So Team Giannis had to get to 24. But Team LeBron was trailing by like 8 or 9, so they had to get to 30-31. And they won the fourth quarter. They won the game, so they got to their 30 mark before Team Giannis got to 24, which was also cool. But just the intensity of the fourth quarter was really good. Awesome to watch. Like that angle of LeBron getting blocked by Giannis at the rim through the backboard. That was a great angle. That looked really like cool. The Space Jam dunk, like MJ stretching out. It's arguably the two best players in the league going at it with the game on the line. Giannis barely pins it on the backboard. Like, that was a good basketball game to watch. If they could just
So overall, the format was a win, but if they could just clean up the first half a little bit, like, it wasn't good enough. I looked back at an All-Star game like 10 years ago. I think it was played in like the 130s. This one got to the 150s with the slower paced target score. Like, just a little more trying in the first half, and I think they've got something there.
So overall, you've kind of showed your hand here, but you do enjoy the new format.
Yes. Just try to find a way to make the first half something. Like, obviously, they're going to mess around a little bit and have some fun, but try and make the first half a little more competitive. Those were like 2 blowout quarters, too. So we never got to see it like the third quarter, which was a tie. Teams were calling timeouts. There was intentional fouling at the end of the third quarter to try and win the third quarter. That was really cool. So, like, that quarter was a win as well. The first half was just 2 sloppy blowouts that it doesn't matter because the second half was so much of a win, but if you can somehow make the first half matter a little more, that would be nice. And
then Kawhi Leonard ended up winning the MVP. He was about middle of the road in terms of odds to win MVP there. I think it was 14-1. When it all was 14-1?
14-1.
Okay, so when it closed.
Great if you got him.
So any thoughts onto that? Because, you know, we think about potential MVPs in these games here. Honestly, it feels like it can go to anybody. There's obviously the favorites here, like Giannis or LeBron or anything like that. But obviously taking those long shots can bring back some good value, too. Like, I actually texted you with Jokic. I think he was like 22-1. Like, he did nothing pretty much during that game.
That's too long.
Right.
He was more than that. I think he was like 35 to.
Yeah, it was high. It was very high. But that's why, you know, looking at that, obviously a player of his caliber, he can put up those types of games where you can do the. I mean, we've seen it with the Nuggets, obviously.
Right. It's just tougher in an All-Star game
with
the way
so
that
many
he
names
plays.
out
like
there.
It usually goes to one of those top perimeter guys. So, like, that is when it makes it kind of worthwhile, I guess. I don't think there's an edge to betting All-Star MVPs. Like, it's just not there. So I took
only World Series MVPs.
Correct.
Got to slip that in there.
I'll be there with my World Series MVP this year. It's a bet that you guys will have to get your hands on.
Of course.
Given my track record.
Yeah,
I could lose World Series MVP for the next 25 years and still be plus units, Bucks.
Oh, stop it. The bragging in this podcast is getting insufferable.
You brought it up, not me.
I had to slip it in. Andrew Castro.
It does make sense to a degree that, like, I played a little bit of LeBron plus 450 because of the Kobe narrative, because Kobe's name was on that award.
Right.
But if you look at it, LeBron James at 4.5-1, Kawhi Leonard at 14-1. Very similar top 5 players that dominate the game from the wing on both sides. Like, just take the 14-1.
Right.
But at the same time, there's just so many ways you can go on that. I wouldn't. It's more of a fun bet for you if you want to make it. That's all I would say.
To kind of put a bow on NBA, obviously they're getting back in action tomorrow. It looks like 7 games tomorrow that they'll be kicking off the second half of the season here. Spreads are out already on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Over-unders have yet to be released here. A couple big ones there. The Bucks are 13 points favorites over the Pistons. The Rockets are 9.5 favorites over the Warriors. By the way, did you see that their ratings for this year is down like 66% from last season? Like
for the Warriors, right?
Yes, expected. Because I guess as a whole, the NBA is down 13% in the ratings so far this season, but 66% is just an unbelievable drop. Like, I know that team is absolutely decimated with injury. They're not competitive at all, but man, that is just a huge drop.
Yeah, it would be nice if, you know, Oracle Arena, they've obviously moved to the new one now in San Francisco, but Oracle Arena was considered one of the toughest places to play. It was considered one of the most fun places to play. So you would hope that fan base can stick around for what clearly, you know, teams go through bad decades. This is clearly a down year.
Yeah.
Individual, singular.
Yeah.
The Warriors are set up fantastic next year.
Right.
Healthy Curry, healthy Clay. Maybe a little bit fresher after all the mileage they have from going to all those NBA finals in a row. Healthy Steph, healthy Clay. Then Draymond gets to be Draymond, like the ultimate role player, rather than he can't be one of your best players. He has to be that role guy. Andrew Wiggins gets to restart in that like Harrison Barnes role from before KD arrived. Has the potential to be a really good fit. And they're going to have a top 5 pick that they can use on whatever player they want to fit in there or move that pick to to a team that has a veteran on their young core that they want to make that swap with. Like, the Warriors are set up for a monster bounce back.
So hopefully they get some of that 66% back next year when they're a little more competitive.
Will.
So as I said, Rockets 9.5 favorites over the Warriors. This is all for tomorrow, Thursday, by the way. Any early leans on any of these spreads? I know it's still kind of early. Obviously we haven't heard of any injury reports as of yet, but any early leans for Thursday's game?
So 2 spots, I guess, catch my eye. The first is the Bucks. Obviously, Andre Drummond's gone for the Pistons. Reggie Jackson now bought out from the Pistons, headed to the Clippers. I think that the Bucks, in terms of maybe even you want to go first quarter, first half there, just to avoid the potential back door, but I think the Bucks should come out and blow doors. And then the only other 2 spots, the Bulls are at home against the Hornets. The Kings are at home against the Grizzlies. The Kings and Bulls have been 2 of the best home first quarter under bets in the NBA this season. They just come out slow at home. They drag their opponents down with them a little bit. Charlotte shouldn't scare you, so I think the Bulls first quarter under is going to be one that I'll wind up playing. Memphis, faster pace, a little more exciting team. We'll see what that number comes out at, but those 2 first quarter unders are things in Sacramento, in Chicago, have been very profitable this season.
Guess what it's time for?
Bucks in the dark.
Bucks in the dark. Now, if you're not familiar with this segment,
we need a graphic.
We do need a graphic. If you're not familiar with this segment, it's been highly successful so far. We're 2-1 on the year. Okay. This segment is just me throwing out a random line, and that's what you take. I would not recommend you put a lot of money on this.
I would not recommend you take it.
We're 2-1. We're 2-1. I'm just taking a line.
Sounds like some regression is due.
No. I'm taking a line, and I throw it out there because I look at it and I go, that feels like a line I would take and be comfortable with. And you know what it is this week? This is for tomorrow, Thursday, by the way. Heat minus 5.5 over the Hawks. That's the buck in the dark. If you hit it, make sure to at me, S Buchanan 24. Thank you for the buck in the dark. If it loses, don't bother me, because I told you there's no information to this. If it loses, too bad. But I'm trying to make you money.
So you want people DMing you saying thank you for the buck in the dark?
Correct. That is correct. That's why it's so
Seems
cleverly named. No, it's not. That's your problem. Okay? We're adults. We can figure it out. It is not inappropriate. Okay. And I'll tell you what else is not inappropriate. The XFL. Because that's what we're going to go and talk about
Extreme.
next. Like I said off the top, ratings were good, again, for a second week in a row.
Second week in a row?
Yeah. I'm just so happy for him. Attendance has maintained as well. And now we got 4 games coming up this weekend here. Interesting little nugget here. Home teams have dominated against the spread. They're 6-2 so far on the year. But now we have only one home team favored this week, which is the St. Louis Battlehawks, minus 10 over the Guardians. The home teams for the other 3 games are all favored here. Roughnecks 6.5 over the Vipers, Renegades 5 over the Dragons, and the DC Defenders, who arguably probably have the best defense in the league, minus 8.5 over the Wildcats. Betting looking at this.
So
totals have not been released yet, by the way. And that's kind of where everybody's looking right now, because these games...
Unders have dominated to the same degree as home teams. I think both unders are 6-2, home teams are 6-2. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So the totals have not been released, and we got to think about this for a second here. When these games were first put out here in week 1, we saw totals in the 50s, high 40s. That has not been happening at all. We've seen a lot of defensive games.
The one thing about week 1 is that most books put them up late when they got to those high 40s and 50s. I think Circa Sports in Vegas was the first book to say, let's try this. And they put them out. They put them all out at like 40.5 or something. Sure. And they got bet up to high 40s, low 50s. So they were kind of right on where they released it, and everybody started pounding the overs, and that kind of set the market at these other numbers. Now, so this week, the St. Louis-New York game, that one's going to probably open between 40 and 42.
Yep.
I think the other ones are going to be around 44 to 45. Potentially still some unders. Houston scares me. They're the 2 overs. Houston games are the 2 overs. But Tampa sucks.
Very bad. And Tampa was one of the favorites to win it all before the season began.
There should have been a smarter way to fade that coming out of the gates. should have been betting against Tampa, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But, so is Houston on the road -6.5 a good bet? If Houston regresses, this is probably going to be the spot. Feels like you don't want to. Maybe we need to see what Tampa is at home. Maybe we need to see what Houston is on the road before we take a 6.5 road favorite.
Well, one thing that makes you feel good about Houston, and granted, this is only 2 weeks, so we have very limited stats here, but the quarterback position has been so pivotal for these teams. You look at the NFL, you can get by with an average, below average quarterback because of what you have on the rest of the team. It feels like the quarterback position is uber important in this league, where the Roughnecks have Walker, who has thrown 7 touchdowns so far, which leads the league. He's definitely the top quarterback so far.
He's the MVP front runner, probably.
Right. Landry Jones looked good in his first week. He missed week 1 there. He looked good in his first week there. That's something to watch too as well. But with the Vipers playing so bad and the Roughnecks having arguably the best quarterback thus far, I feel like 6.5 is fair for this team right now.
I don't have a play on that game because it's the first home game for Tampa, the first road game for Houston, and I think Houston's better, but I think Houston should cover the 6.5, but I don't know. I think the game, that's a tough one for the total. That's probably the game that I would pass on. I have 3 leans. My leans would be Seattle +5 at home against Dallas.
Okay.
Because of how good home teams have been. Dallas hasn't shown me anything too crazy. New York +10. Like, New York was good week 1 against Tampa and laid an egg against D.C. last week. St. Louis has been awesome on the road, but I don't 10 points. That's a lot. Well,
here's my only pushback on that is that they just benched McLaurin late in week 2 there, so they got some. McLaurin has some, and the whole team just has some offensive issues. So the Battlehawks have been a team that have been surprising. Actually, I think they had the lowest odds to win the championship, and they've already come out of the gate pretty quick here. So with the offensive mishaps that the Guardians have had, I feel like the Battlehawks are still a play. The total's very high.
A lot.
Maybe just take the Battlehawks.
And this is going to be the lowest total on the board. I think it's going to close around 40.
I feel like the Defenders game might be the lowest total just because of how good they've been defensively. They've allowed 18 points in the first 2 weeks of the season. They just shut out the Vipers last week. I feel like that's the game that's going to have the lowest total so far.
All right. Well, I'm just going to tell you you're wrong because other books have released totals. DraftKings is a great sports book. They will get around to it. But the game in St. Louis is around 40.5. The game in LA is around 44.
Okay. I mean, you had that information withheld from me. So
yeah, well, I like to try and make you look like an idiot, and then I look smart.
Okay, well, I'm not off by much. We're not talking, this game's on 55 points or something like that. But, okay, so in that case then, fine. You know what? I'll say this. If it's at 44.5, I will 100% take the under in that game.
For DC and LA?
Yes.
Yeah, I will too.
All right, so stop acting all high and mighty.
Maybe I already have.
Yeah.
Maybe I got it at a better
number.
number.
We have this pre-show discussion. It's 2 minutes long, but at least tell me this information.
I said I have 3 leans here. My leans are going to be Seattle +5, New York +10, and there's no total on DK Sportsbook, but under in DC, LA.
Okay. Fine.
Those are my leans.
I mean, I think they're all fair. I'll push back with the St. Louis one. I think the St. Louis Battlehawks can win that game by 10. I didn't realize how high the money line was, -480 on that, and that's I'm good with that, especially with a league that's still 2 weeks old. I'm not laying down on the juice on that one just yet here.
No,
but
I'm with you.
I would say the Battlehawks have been the more surprising team so far. The Vipers,
for sure,
by far, have to be the biggest disappointment. 6.5 underdogs already. For a team that was highly touted as the team to beat. They're the team to beat on, it seems like, so far. Any other thoughts here? Oh, real quick on the futures for who ends up winning the championship. So the DC Defenders are the favorites right now at +200. The Houston Roughnecks are at very close behind there, 225. Then the field just kind of opens up after that. Dallas Renegades, 650. St. Louis Battlehawks, +1,000, etc., etc. I would lean the Roughnecks a little bit here at +225. I think you're getting some pretty good value here. I think both of those teams are going to win. So I feel like the odds are going to stay relatively the same going into the week after here. But getting the Roughnecks at +225 is the second heavy favorites here. I still think there's some value there.
If you made me, I'm not going to do anything with this, but if you made me bet a team, I would probably go Houston right now as well.
I think that's the way to go.
They look like the best team. They look like they can move the ball the best, and that's probably what's going to win in the end.
And just for reference, Tampa Bay Vipers plus 1,100. They have fallen fast. They have fallen fast. You mentioned you wanted to talk a little NFL futures coming up here.
So, DK Sportsbook just added one new wrinkle. They're kind of coming out slowly.
Okay.
Or I guess two, but the big thing that they recently added is the division winners is what you can bet on. You could bet who's going to win the Super Bowl. You could bet who's going to win the AFC and NFC. Now we can bet divisions. So I guess I'll just rifle through them real quick for you. AFC East, Patriots the minus 400 favorite.
Ugh.
Seems reasonable, but they're minus 600 every year. 700 seems reasonable, but obviously the Brady domino is going to affect everything. If he comes back, they'll probably go back to their usual minus 600. Yeah. If he leaves, that number will become much more fair. Buffalo plus 450, Jets plus 1,400, Dolphins plus 1,800. AFC North, Baltimore minus 177 to repeat. Pittsburgh plus 275, Cleveland plus 550, Cincy plus 2,000. AFC South is an interesting one, I think. Titans favored plus 160, Houston plus 225, Indy plus 250, Jacksonville plus 700. AFC West, Chiefs minus 500. The Las Vegas Raiders plus 900. Broncos plus 1,000. Chargers plus 1,100. NFC East is always a mess. Eagles plus 120. Dallas plus 130. Giants plus 800. Washington plus 900. NFC North, Green Bay plus 135. Minnesota plus 140. Chicago plus 500. Detroit plus 900. The Saints, Drew Brees will be back, minus 155. Falcons plus 300. Bucks plus 500. Panthers plus 1,100. And the NFC West, San Francisco plus 105 to repeat. Seahawks plus 135. Rams plus 270. And the Cardinals all the way down at plus 2,000. So,
wow.
What do you want to just go division by division, or what does anything really stand out to you?
So a couple things.
I'll give you one thing. You go first, though.
So a couple things jumped out at me right away. A potential landing spot for Brady that we've heard often, not the Chargers, but the Raiders at plus 900. That jumped out at me right away because if you throw Brady in the mix, the Raiders have
Brady and Mahomes in the same division all of a sudden.
Ooh, didn't even think of that. But so you throw Brady with the Raiders. They have a very strong offensive line. That is not something that Brady had this year. They have some decent receivers. But I feel like if they're going to spend for Brady, they're going to make sure that he has a number one.
Yep.
We know that Brady likes going to the tight end position. We've seen it for years. They have a very good one with Darren Waller. Plus 900 is some value to take if you have a lean that he goes to the Raiders. Because once he moves to the Raiders, you're going to see this number change, I think, dramatically. Could it even maybe be cut in half if he goes to the Raiders? Plus 450? Because obviously you're not going to discount the Chiefs and what they have there. They'll obviously go down a little bit. I don't think Brady makes it for the Raiders, but he's a key piece over Derek Carr. So plus 900, if you're feeling like you could go to that team, might be time to throw something on that.
All right. Now I'm going to tell you why you're an idiot.
Okay.
If you have a lean that Brady's going to go to the Raiders and you want to bet him plus 900 to win the division, why don't you just bet Brady plus 600 to go to the Raiders?
Is that a... Oh, I didn't... Okay. So to be fair, I did not know they had a Brady next team special. Of course you didn't. I did not know that.
Right. That's why I'm here to clean up the mess.
Okay. Okay, but...
So I'm going to take your take and just craft it into a better bet, hand it right back to you, and say, here's what you should take.
I just ate your take.
You did eat my take.
Okay, so that's fair.
It is fair.
By
that's fair, you're just saying that I'm smarter and I'm right.
You know what? Here's what happened. You came prepared for a show, which I'm not prepared for.
Oops.
So in turn, you were prepared for my take. Plus 600 for the Raiders. Like it a lot.
Good.
I think that's something to throw it on.
Okay,
but let me ask you.
Okay.
Do you really not like the plus 900 taking it now?
No, I don't like it.
Okay. Well, whatever. Do your take.
Here's, I guess, I don't think I have any real take in the NFC.
I do.
The Giants and Redskins are not going to win that division.
No.
I think, what if Brady goes to the Giants? Like, obviously, you would just bet Brady to the Giants. But, like, if you take Philly plus 120 and Dallas plus 130, you're guaranteeing yourself a small profit if one of those two teams wins the division. That probably happens, but at the same time, you're going to win, like, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 units. So, like, I don't know if you want to tie that money up for that type of win, but it is a way that you should profit. The same argument could be made for the Vikings-Packers, plus 135, plus 140, but what if the Bears sneak in there? That one's a little dicier.
They won't.
They won't, but what if? The NFC South, yeah, the Saints should win, but I wouldn't have a play on that division. What do you think?
Buccaneers? So
I mean, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Right.
So here's the thing. Player futures, I wanted to bring this up. We have Brady's next team. Pats minus 335. Vegas Raiders plus 600 are next. Chargers plus 1,200. Dolphins plus 1,200. The Bucs are in there at plus 2,000. You can also bet Phillip Rivers' next team now, and the Bucs are even money. You don't?
Nope.
Well, it's a VIP thing, I guess.
Why do you have it? I don't have it. I don't see it.
It's a VIP thing, I guess.
That's so weird. All right.
All right, so
drop it.
If you're a common man like Bucks and you don't have this, then you can tune out for the next couple minutes. If you're a VIP like myself, you can bet on Phillip Rivers' next team.
I got to talk to somebody about this.
Tampa's even money. Here, I'll even let you look at my VIP account.
Oh, thanks. That's very nice of you.
Tampa Bay, plus 100. The Colts, plus 150. I think Melvin Gordon came out and said, they literally asked, where do you think he's going to go? And he answered, which is kind of cool. He said, I think he would go to Indy. He knows the scheme there, Carolina kind of needs a QB, plus 900. Then the Vegas Raiders are there at plus 1,000. Actually, just to say the next one, the Chicago Bears, plus 1,200. I kind of like that one.
I'd be surprised if they move on from Mitch.
Mitch Trubisky blows.
I know.
Rivers would actually be an upgrade. So, but here's my thing. So, like, if you're looking at the Bucs as the NFC South division winner at plus 500, Rivers is even money to go there. Do you like them with Rivers more than Winston? You're gonna cut back on mistakes.
Right.
But the ceiling's going to be lowered. But Phillip Rivers also makes mistakes.
Oh,
that
he
dude
does.
throws interceptions. So, like, I don't even know. If I'm Tampa, I would rather see if I can somehow find a coach or something that is going to limit Winston's mistakes and try and get him to reach his ceiling a little bit more, rather than just take Phillip Rivers. What, are you going to win the Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers? No.
The only thing is, like, I think about Rivers surrounded with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
I was going to say he knows Mike Evans. Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking.
Okay, idiot. He's surrounded by Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. On the Chargers, it was basically Keenan Allen and then what? Eckler for some checkdowns?
What am I thinking of? Who's the Bucs receiver? Vincent Jackson, who he knew from San Diego.
Come back to 2020, please.
Mike Evans.
Vincent Jackson. How long has he been retired for? 5 years, I think now.
A long time. That name just popped into my head.
That group of receivers is just so deadly. And then even O.J. Howard.
But Rivers throws like ducks. Like, all those touchdowns are Winston's huge arm. He was like a closer in college. He bombs it to Godwin and Evans. Like, I don't even know if Rivers is the right fit.
Okay, so the right fit is Winston. Okay, I think
they have the right fit. He just threw 30 interceptions last year.
He got LASIK surgery. He's ready. He's ready now. He's got 20/20.
That'll be hilarious if he throws like 15 interceptions this year, and the problem was that he couldn't see.
Right. I just think that Rivers in that offense could be successful. I really do. They don't have the check down running back that he's had in LA, but man, you surround him with Howard, Winston, Godwin, like, that's some options. Those are some really good options that you can throw to. And I just think that Rivers in that offense could be successful if they are going to move on from Winston, which kind of feels like they are.
Even money to go there is pretty...
Not bad.
No, I just mean, like, they're pretty confident he's going to wind up in Tampa. He did move to Florida, too.
Right.
So.
Oh, I didn't know that little wrinkle there.
Yeah.
God,
I believe he moved to Florida.
Can you imagine moving all 16 kids to Florida?
I know. Like, how far away can you go?
Like, you need a moving van just for the kids to put them in the back.
Yeah. If you made me bet one NFC bet, I would take Seattle plus 235 to win the NFC West.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco is going to see a little regression. Little Super Bowl hangover.
I don't disagree
And Seattle
with
was
that.
right there. Seattle was a play away from winning that division last year.
And quite frankly, we saw that defense kind of not implode, but they definitely weren't as strong as they were in the beginning of the season. It was not good. It was not good. And I don't know, Jimmy Garoppolo is just not the guy to carry a team. He's just not.
No, if San Francisco's running game and defense regresses a little bit and Garoppolo has to do more, they're going to level off a little bit. Let's say San Francisco goes, maybe San Francisco and LA go 10-6, Seattle goes 11-5, or San Francisco goes 11-5, Seattle goes 12-4. Like, I can see Seattle winning that division. I like plus 235. AFC. The South immediately jumped out to me. The Titans did not win that division. Houston won that division, yet Tennessee is plus 160. Tannehill is either going to leave or get overpaid. Derrick Henry is either going to leave or get overpaid.
Right.
I don't see the appeal in betting them plus 160 when they just lost the division. All they did was get hot late, whereas you have Houston that always is competing there. It seems like Houston is by far the steepest priced division winner to repeat at plus 225. The next closest one is Green Bay, I think, at plus 135.
Yeah, that's surprising, honestly, now when you lay it out there.
So I think Houston plus 225 is pretty solid value.
Yeah, I agree. Wow.
Then you have Indy right there at plus 250. I need to know who their starting quarterback is going to be before I can bet them. Is it going to be Brissett? Is it going to be Rivers? Is it going to be someone else?
But if you know, is it too late?
Not if you act. You just got to act quick.
Yeah.
But it needs to be somebody that blows me away. Like if it's Rivers, I want Houston plus 225. Yeah. The other three divisions I think are interesting. Is Pittsburgh going to be better? Yes. The Browns, they keep talking like, oh, yeah, we're going to learn from our mistakes last year. But, do you believe I can't trust the Browns. I think they're going to be a similar, just underachieving, talented team.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And then Cincy, no way. Even with Joe Burrow, they're going to have to
maybe
change a lot of things. But then Joe Burrow's talking about not even going there and pulling an Eli Manning and being like, Cincinnati, nope, somebody trade for this pick and I'll go somewhere else.
Yep.
So I think Baltimore at minus 177, they just went 14-2.
Yeah.
5-1 in the division. They're losing a couple guys in the secondary that they're going to have to replace. They won that division by, the next closest was Pittsburgh at 8-8. They went 14-2. Minus 177, I know you got to lay some juice there, but if there's a time to lay it, it's not on things like, a minus 180 money line. Like in one game, you can lose that. That's a lot to lay. I feel more comfortable laying bigger numbers like this on long-term things where we know over the course of the season Baltimore is likely going to get that division.
Here's my worry. They need another wideout because teams are going to figure out how to stop him on the ground. It's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. Okay, so maybe instead
he always finds his way out.
Okay, but that's fine. But let's say instead of averaging, 7-8 yards a game, he comes down to 55. Okay? He needs another receiver to throw to.
I agree another receiver would help, and Jackson was good throwing the ball last year.
He needs a slot receiver that's not named Willie Snead. He needs somebody like Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders, I think, would fit in that offense so well. That should be their number one target this week because he's a free agent. That should be their number one target.
Maybe Hollywood Brown makes a jump.
And that's fine, but they need someone to complement Brown because they do not have that. They have Mark Andrews, but they need another receiver in that mix. I think that would put them over the top. Because
I like laying the 177 with Baltimore.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I'd rather get plus money.
I think the only way you lose it is if Jackson gets hurt.
Sure.
Which brings me to the potential idea of parlaying. You can parlay these, which not many books let you do. So if you want to take some deeper shots, like I said I like Houston, I said I like Seattle, I would recommend taking them individually. Yep. If you parlay them, now all of a sudden you're at plus 989. That's plus 1,000. That's 10 times your money. You lay $100 there, you win $1,000.
That is nice.
That is intriguing stuff, I will say. And then it brings you to the other side, the heavy favorite money line parlay angle.
Here we go.
The Patriots are winning their division. You are talking all this Vegas plus 900 crap. The Chiefs minus 500 are going to win their division.
Yeah.
If you do those, it's minus 200. But if you add Baltimore, who I like a lot, New England, Baltimore, Kansas City is plus 136. That's a decent payout. I don't love that you need 3 teams to win a division for plus 136, but if there's 3 teams that are winning their division, it's those 3.
I guess it's okay.
That's another one that I'm throwing out there. I'm probably going to take this parlay the next,
of course
the next chance that I have in New Hampshire, in Jersey. I'm in those states at certain times. I will be making that bet.
Shout out to Live Free or Die. We love your state.
Live Free or Die. Parlay the Texans and Seahawks to win their division or die. I will be doing that.
All right, so we went a little bit long on this here, so we're going to talk some baseball. We'll just keep it very brief here.
Yep.
One total that I wanted to point out here, and I was talking to you about this off the air, was the Colorado Rockies. Their over-under for the season is currently set at 72.5. The under on that is plus money, even money here, at under 72.5. I was doing some research on this. I could not believe that nearly 60% of their payroll is taken by 4 guys. And the ages of those 4 guys are 34 for 3 of them and 29 for 1. The youngest is, of course, Nolan Arenado, who just signed that massive deal, getting $35 million. But the other 3 players, Charlie Blackmon, Wade Davis, and Desmond, those 3 guys together are going to be making a grand total of $53 million. That team needs to shed that Arenado contract now. They need to do that this year. This team is so restricted. They cannot do anything. They made no moves this offseason because they can't make any moves this offseason because they are so restricted on their payroll. And it brings open this interesting scenario where what team would be able to take on Arenado's contract? Go ahead.
Hold on. So how good is Wade Davis still as a closer, and how many years are left on his deal?
So Wade Davis was actually good last year.
That's what I thought. And how many years are left on his contract?
So he's a free agent after next season. So he's got 2 years left, this season and next. Blackmon, forget it.
Would a team buy Davis at the trade deadline and pay him for a season and a half? It sounds like he might be worth that to a the Yankees obviously don't need relief pitching, but a Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, even though the Red Sox say they don't have money, a big market team, is he worth that for a year and a half? Probably.
If he starts out strong, yes.
If he has a good first half.
Like I mentioned, he's 34 years old. So
what if they shed him at the deadline?
It helps, but the biggest thing is
aren't they going to want to keep Arenado?
So he's been subject of trade rumors because he
they
has
have to
been
get a trade Arenado with another contract,
right?
And whatever their worst one is, probably Desmond would be their worst one, right?
I would say so, yeah. But the other thing was Blackmon is that contract is horrible. He is under contract until the end of the 2023 season. So we're talking about he's going to be 34 years old during the season. So we're talking about he's going to be 38 years old by the time that contract ends.
Okay.
The problem with Arenado is that he's just so much money, but he is under team control now for a long time. He's under contract until 2026. So you're getting him in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
But he takes up 24% of their payroll for a team that cannot spend any money right now. So basically, when you put all this together, I think they're going to be sellers. They're in a division where they're not going to succeed because the Padres improved. The Dodgers, obviously we know what the Dodgers did. The Diamondbacks are going to be in there. This is going to be a team that's going to be selling. They're not going to be very competitive. Taking the under at even money at 72.5, I think, is a way to go on this one. I was just amazed how bad financially they've backed themselves into a corner.
It makes sense. I'm curious if I just think that they're going to want to keep Arenado. So I'm just curious if they can use Wade Davis and somehow get out of this without.
Arenado's trying to go out the door. He's been critical to the media about how the team has done nothing, and he feels disrespected by the Rockies that they do nothing. That's what he said.
But they haven't. I guess they can.
Look, he got his money. Now he wants a new location because he doesn't like where he's at, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
So,
what's the market for him?
See, that's where it's tough.
The Betts trade already happening. There's only so many teams that can take that type of player.
I was playing with the idea that the Nationals could be a team because
replace Rendon,
but they just signed Strasburg to that massive
and they let Rendon walk, kind of saying we don't have this type of money. But
so I think his market's going to be small. The Cubs might be a team to look at because Chris Bryant also wants out.
Right. So would they do that type of swap and then Colorado would have to move on from Bryant before they have to pay him to get the prospects that they would.
I think it would have to be 2 separate deals. I think Bryant would be able to go somewhere else. It's open to a lot more teams.
You mean a 3-way deal?
Maybe not even a 3-way. Maybe
a swap for Bryant and then move Bryant again.
Correct. Or something like that, because Bryant is obviously much more affordable. He hasn't even really hit free agency yet. He's still getting the arbitration money. But Arenado's that guy that is going to cost all that money, so his market is restricted immensely. But like I said, this just comes down to under 72.5 for me at even money. I think that's unbelievable value that you're getting here for a team that struggled last year, should struggle again this year. They were awful on the road. They were one of the worst road teams in baseball. That's not going to magically change.
I wonder why.
No trash can bang in there, but they obviously perform better at Coors Field. But the under here, I think, is definitely the play to take.
Sorry, what's it at?
72.5, the under at even money. I think it's got to do it. There's a lot of good value on the DraftKings Sportsbook. That's one of my new favorites. That's the one I'm really kind of targeting at.
All right. Before we get out of here, I have one MLB question for you, I guess. So MVPs are up.
Yeah. Yep.
And Mookie Betts is now the NL MVP favorite at plus 550, which I kind of hate.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to hit as well at Dodger Stadium than Fenway. Bellinger's right behind him at plus 700. Yelich plus 700. I don't really have a take here. You can tell me if you like anybody for the NL MVP, but my take is more that getting Mookie Betts off the AL side moves Mike Trout to plus 150 to win the AL MVP.
Yeah.
Next in line is Aaron Judge at plus 1,000.
Crazy.
Then Lindor at plus 1,000 makes no sense. He might get
Doesn't
moved.
Make any sense.
I hate that. If I were to make a play on the AL, I would probably take 2 guys.
Yep.
I kind of like 150 on Trout because there's just not that other guy. If he doesn't get hurt, he's going to win it. If I took another guy, I would take Stanton at plus 3,300.
I don't hate it.
If he is out there and leads that offense for a team that could win 110 games, it seems like better value than Judge at plus 1,000.
Well, here's my only take about Stanton is that I think he's going to play a lot more DH. No more Encarnacion is going to open the DH spot for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
DH is tough for MVP. Unless he has a ridiculous offensive season, which is possible. That's definitely not possible. And at the odds you're getting plus 3,300, I don't think that's too bad. I actually like Rendon plus 1,400. He's going to get some good pitches to see with Mike Trout.
I know he is, but I just like doing that implies that he has a better season than Trout.
Which is tough. It is a tough sell.
Yeah, I just can't.
We have 2 Angels players in the top 4.
Yes.
So that's the team you're really going to kind of focus on. If it's Trout or if it's Rendon. I don't mind doing a little bit of both. I think one of those guys would end up winning.
I just can't see the path for Rendon because the Angels have to be decent and he has to be better than Trout.
Yeah.
And if Trout gets hurt, obviously maybe Trout doesn't win, but I don't think that opens a path for Rendon either because then maybe they start to stink.
Yep.
And they just don't have an MVP candidate. I don't see the path for Rendon.
Real quick on the NL side, the reason I don't like bets at that total especially, and I do not have the information on this, how often do leadoff hitters win the MVP? I feel like it can't be a lot because RBI opportunities are scarce.
I mean, he got one in Boston.
Sure, but he was also moving around the lineup a lot. Mm-hmm. And with the Dodgers, he should be locked into that leadoff role. So the RBI opportunities are scarce. He should score a lot of runs, but he's taken a hit being in the NL West in a lot of pitcher parks. Yeah. So I don't agree with that at all. My real quick take here, Juan Soto at plus 1,000. The kid raked last year. I don't see why he can't do that again this year. Mm-hmm. Really good odds on him at plus 1,000. So that's my take on that so far.
I don't mind it. I don't have a take.
Yep. It's still too early.
I would not be betting on it.
Mookie Betts applies plus 550. Decent odds. I just don't see it coming from a leadoff hitter. So that's going to do us here on the Panel B podcast for this edition. Of course, we'll be back next week, next Wednesday. NBA will be back in their full schedule there, so we'll get back into that. I'm sure we'll talk some MLB, wrap up some XFL as well. So, as always, for Julian Edlow, Steve Buchanan, see you next week.